Hello and welcome to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. In this segment, James and I talk about the grant experiment. It's been a year. What went right? What went wrong? What are we going to do next? Hope you enjoy. Hey, James.
What?
Hey, James.
Is that you, Pat?
James, over here.
Hello.
Over here.
Hello. Oh, you're upstairs.
Sorry, the clubhouse attic. I heard noises.
I was in the Caesartorium.
Where we drink the Caesars?
Where we drink Clamato. I drink it, I have a virgin Clamato.
Yeah. Not a virgin human, a virgin Caesar, because you don't drink alcohol. Yes,
which is just Clamato juice now, apparently.
I mean, you could put the hot sauce and everything in. Anyway. Do I remember what I wanted to talk to you about? Barely.
It seemed important because,
Okay, I remember now.
Oh, okay. All right. Let it rip.
Guess what?
What?
You know how we started this grant experiment last August?
Yes. It's
been a year.
Aware.
Yeah.
I know.
We're going to do it for a year. The year is up.
I know. And we sort of ignored that the year was up.
Well, it's September. It's early September still. So, we're just getting to, I feel like we're sort of metabol. You know, when somebody dies and you need a minute to let your friends know? That's what happened here at Gifted Underachievers. Mm-hmm. Our grant experiment, this is a bit of an RIP.
Yeah.
Rest in peace session, because I'm going to tell you, it died for me on the operating table at some point.
Really?
In February.
Really?
Yeah, that's the last time.
Error, or just couldn't pull through.
Well, okay, if I'm the doctor, it was completely medical error. There's no question.
Okay.
If the patient is the number of grant applications I have out there, it was already very emaciated when it got to the hospital, and then I killed it on the table because I didn't do any. So, but I do want to kind of reflect on what happened.
Yeah.
There's been a few developments. So remember God bless me. Remember my grant experiment spreadsheet in Excel?
I do.
The one with 6 tabs and so many research sources and records and budget stuff. Oh, God. So when we started in August, I didn't apply for my first grant until September of last year, 2024. I did apply. They said no. That one needed references. The next one, I decided not to apply because I thought it was run by a cabal of Mormons. So that was the 2 for September. October, there were 5 on my list. I applied for one of them. I was rejected. For one of them, I got the entire application ready, and then I missed the deadline by 15 minutes.
Bummer.
And blamed my aging mother who needed a visit that day. So there's been no good behavior in my grant experiment. In November, all I have is didn't do it, demoralized. It's under my notes column in my spreadsheet. December, I didn't do it. January, President Trump came into office and I took off everything in the US because I didn't want to travel there.
Yep.
They're not giving out grants to anybody anymore anyway.
I know. Yeah.
They had all their funding pulled. So that all I had on there was US stuff. Oh, I have one that I could have applied to, but my mom had a stroke.
Yep.
So I didn't. February, the one I applied to, I got it in on time. And then that was the one that they said we would have given you money if we had any left. Mm-hmm. Also in February, there was another one where I missed the deadline. That was also a severe mom and hospice situation. March, I reevaluated my options. April, the only one on my list was in the US, not a good option, and that was for a residency. August, I missed the deadline for the 2 I had on there. September, what happened to me in August was I remembered that we were doing a grant experiment. And I started looking up deadlines again. And I found out that there are a couple of things in September I can submit to. One of them is due next week. A
Yeah.
couple of them are so complicated that I need to table them to 2026, but I'm actually going to continue this. But I don't feel like I gave this experiment a good chance, partly because of my mom's situation, partly because I was resistant to cataloging my my creative industry and plans and stuff like that, and partly because it's a fuckload of work and I was busy with
Yeah.
paperwork. So, but September there are two that I can apply to. And one of them is due next week, which is the day of my mom's celebration of life. So I probably won't get it in, but I might. If I can put one together, I will. And then October, I got a new source, a new information source. I forget what it is. I'll share it if I remember. And it is competitions. Because
Uh-huh.
the grants landscape has been limited by the US government's stance on
Right.
arts funding. I mean, a lot of the stuff I would have been able to go to or apply to in residencies and stuff like that is it's off limits because I can't travel there, but also
Mhm.
there's no funding anymore. Everything's up in the air. So,
Right.
uh, but there's a couple that I can actually do. And so one's due 20th of October, one's the 5th of October, one's the 15th of October, 17th, 31st. We'll see what happens. And then November, there's one, but I don't have anything for that one. So what can I
Mhm.
say? The RIP was that, oh man, let me stop for a second. You talk now. I'm
Okay.
exhausted.
It is exhausting. Right. And I think that's one of the things, like a big takeaway is it's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
It's not a simple process. I'm looking at my list right now because I have an Excel spreadsheet as well. And it is interesting that a lot of the ones that I have that I focused on are fall.
Yeah.
So, there's still ones for me to apply for, like the
Mm.
Walt Stegner Fellowship,
Do it.
which I really want to do. And there's ones that still have outstanding. But before I get to that, yes, Donald Trump is a ripping asshole because a lot of these ones are either directly from the federal government or have a very strong relationship with the federal government that has now been completely thrown upside down.
Mhm.
So that's a big bummer. The other thing that I focused on was residencies as opposed to money,
Yeah.
because I felt like for me, it's not, I mean, yes, it would have been great to get some big grant funding, but really it's more having that cutaway time
Mhm.
where you're at a residency with other creatives, you get that kind of juice. And it didn't go well. Yado said no, and that I can't apply again until 2027. And then Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown just said thank you, but no.
Uh-huh.
The big one that I'm waiting on is Hawthornden Foundation Residency, which is in Scotland. So I'm
Mhm.
kind of excited and I'm feeling kind of good about it, even though it's always a long shot. I have a good vibe towards it.
Yeah.
There was another one that I applied for, Soaring Gardens Artist Retreat,
Yeah.
which is in Pennsylvania, and I never heard back. And it was one where I wrote to them saying, "Hey, your deadline for reporting on who won these things
Right.
has passed. Who won?" And they said, "Let me get back to you because we're still trying to coordinate with the selection committee."
Wow.
I never heard back. So then I sent another follow-up email and I didn't hear back again. So
Wow.
Warren Gardens, maybe they got completely fucked by Trump, or they are just a little disorganized. I don't know.
Mm.
So when I do the RIP, I still feel like it's a work in progress. I think one thing that I definitely learned is when you go through it for a year, you develop materials
Mm.
and a way of thinking about these things that the next year is going to save a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I have documents and pitch materials and that kind of thing that can be repurposed for other grants.
Yeah.
So it's going to make that process a lot easier.
Yeah.
Um, and there was just generally a lot of learning. I didn't not think it was going to be a lot of work, but it turned out to be, more of this sort of ticky-tacky work
Hmm.
where it'd be great to outsource it or automate or, get it off my plate so that somebody else can do that little ticky-tacky work and I don't have to, but there is nobody else, so I have to do it. And that really it dips into my capacity to do other stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of trade-offs that have to be made, and as is reflected in your sit rep, you're taking care of your mom. Life was ever present.
Hmm.
Life and ever present for me. So there's just not that big time, space of time to be able to really dig in and dig deeply into this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that when I have time to do what feels like a project, it feels just like a project to me. I want to do it on a project that is exciting. So
Mm,
I have like some good projects that I'm working on of my own.
mhm.
Writing a book, yes, I'm writing a novel, but the other ones are I'm doing the second edition of a nonfiction book that already sells, like low but steady quantities. And I'm really excited about that as a project for some reason because I'm adding a new chapter. And
Uh,
I'm also
is
doing,
this the pleasure journal?
the pleasure journal is doesn't require another chapter because it's just a journal.
Okay.
It's my book for fiction writers about how to find and work with an editor. And I could actually,
Oh,
anyway, I've got lots of what I think are really fabulous ideas for that one. And then I have other projects like rebooting my courses and stuff. Those are all to me quite creative. And then I have a lot of paid work. Plus, I have teaching for this school editorial arts academy where I'm creating courses. So that's creative. Grants don't feel
mhm.
creative to me. They feel
I know.
so that's I'm interested in spending my energy on stuff that feels creative. And so I need to think of a way to make grant applications feel creative. So far I haven't figured that out. I haven't thought of it in that lens.
Boy, and that's a good point. There are people out there who find this kind of pitching to be a enjoyable challenge.
Oh, right.
Um, you know,
Weirdos.
yeah, yeah, I know. To me, it feels like a bunch of weirdos, but there's things that I really enjoy that everybody else thinks are completely bizarre.
Oh,
But
true. Yeah.
uh, yeah, how to energize this pursuit in
Yeah.
a way so that it feels more creative, more fun.
Mm.
And maybe it's one of these things where if you actually get one, right? It works out. That sparks, oh, this is real. This isn't,
True.
me doing a lot of stuff
Yeah.
uh
Right.
that's gonna go land, it feels like throwing bricks in the Grand Canyon, right?
Ah, good one.
Yeah, who's gonna notice?
I love it.
So maybe if there's, some positive response, that'll up the interest.
Yeah,
But
success is
yeah, I mean,
motivating for
if
sure.
I have a choice between spending an hour writing something of my own or trying to figure out what some granting committee is looking for, I'm gonna go with writing something of my own.
Yeah, so making it attractive slash creative. I think my new interest in competitions versus government funding bodies is twofold. One is that they want stuff you've already written. Like, so I've got a lot of writing. All I got to do is submit it. It's a different thing.
Mhm.
I don't have to prove that I'm polydactyl and walk only on my left foot. Like there's not all of these other things that they need. I just sent some work in.
Yeah, all these bizarre esoteric, we're only looking for this on a Thursday and trying to get everything to line up.
We want you to have walked 1 mile heading west in the last 2 weeks and prove it, right? And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, So,
Well,
um,
how much easier does it sound to send something that you've already created to people who most of the time are going to judge them blind, so they
yeah,
don't want some huge letter and
yeah.
references and everything else?
I mean, that's what strikes me as more interesting than so. I don't want to say RIP exactly. The grant experiment's first year, rest in peace for sure. Lessons were learned,
Yeah.
I was hit by a couple of semi trucks while crossing the highway. So my experience wasn't exciting. It was more like I don't want to say traumatizing. It was weird. It was felt very obstacle-y.
Yeah.
And by
Lots of
semi trucks, I just mean my own lack of organization, life getting in the way, the amount of sheer drudgery involved, and this sort of weird tediousness of the thinking
Mhm.
required to do a good application. It's not just thinking, it's tedious thinking, It's like somebody with a it feels like a rubric was being filled because that's probably what it was.
Right.
And so I used to write proposals in the previous industry I was in, which is conferences and trade shows. And I was getting paid to write those. That was the difference. I was making pretty good
Yeah.
money to write those. And we won a lot of them. And it depended on, the quality of the staff we had and how well we read their purpose. But I was
Mhm.
getting an hourly wage, and that made a big difference.
Yeah, nobody's paying diddly for this. So, I think carrying it forward
Mhm.
is I'm more aware of what grants are out there. I'm more aware of not that I needed to be more aware of what a douchebag Donald Trump is,
Yeah.
for eliminating a lot of opportunities.
Mm.
And there are definitely ones that I want to apply to again. There's sort of these handful of things that I'll keep with, but maybe the next experiment is competitions and see how that shakes out.
You copying me again?
Well, of course. You cut a mighty swath.
That's good because I think for me, that's the more interesting part. And I want to see you win competitions. And we don't write
Yeah.
the same kind of stuff. So it's not in competition with each other. But
Yeah,
even if
we
it were,
wouldn't be competing against each other.
who cares? May the best writer win. That's how I feel about
Yeah.
competitions. So
And there's tons of them.
there's so many of them. And some of them are actually, money grabs. So be careful if you're out there listening and think, oh, yeah, I should do that too.
Mhm.
But some of them have been around for decades, and they really do award the money
Okay,
that they say they
here we
award.
go.
Think about competitions is you send in money, but honestly, you send in money for grant applications too, and
Yeah.
residency applications. So what's different? The difference is you don't have to invent a persona and then describe them in great detail, i.e., you and your writing
Right.
self and your, who you speak to and all. You don't have to make any of that shit up. Your writing can speak for itself, which I think
Mhm.
is good.
Yeah, I'm all for that. So let's call it an experiment.
Oh, fuck.
Competition. Well, this is so much easier though, because I mean, the one thing that I know is you can find a competition, send off your entry in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think the useful bit of information that we can bring to the fore for listeners and ourselves is how to identify competitions that aren't, money grabs,
Yeah.
that are worthwhile and have some meaning,
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah. I love that. Well, let's do that. We'll
Yeah.
do a little thingy on that, and we can expand it to more than just writing competitions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You know what? I feel quite hopeful. I don't want to change it. I want to still call it the grant experiment. I don't know why. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good. We can call it Grant V2.
Yeah. 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 2.0. Grant
Yeah.
experiment 2.0.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
We'll see what happens and then we'll come back with more info.
Indeed. Grazie.
Grazie.
Thanks so much for listening to Gifted Underachievers, the podcast for mid-level creatives with delusional ambitions. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Hope you have a great creative week.